Λοιπόν, δεν θα αποκαλύψω το πρόσωπο που θα πάω να συναντήσει σήμερα, όμως έχω να πω δύο πράγματα για τη Ford. Από τη μέρα που ιδρύθηκε, είχε ένα ιδιαίτερο πάντα βλέμμα στραμμένο στο μέλλον, μια σκέψη.
Από πάπου προς πάπου.
Από γενοφάσκια. Απόδειξη ότι ο δημιουργός της ήταν ο πρώτος που έβαλε την αλυσίδα παραγωγής στη βιομηχανία αυτοκινήτου. Δεν την είδε και την αντέγραψε, τη βελτίωσε, τη σκέφτηκε. Χρόνια μετά, δεκαετία του 60, που το Λεμάν ήταν ένας θρύλος που τον κέρδιζε, σαν αγώνας, 24ωρο Λεμάν, έφτιαξε το αντίπαλο δέος για να κερδίσει τον Έτζο επειδή είναι προσβεβλημένος. Το κατάφερε.
Λίγο πιο πίσω θα σε πάω. Δεκαετία του 30. Είναι γυναικεία υπόθεση τώρα το ζήτημα. Τη δεκαετία του 30 οι γυναίκες ήταν απόλυτα περιορισμένες και όμως βρέθηκε ένα 16χρονο κορίτσι, ανήλικο κορίτσι, με τη συγκατάθεση της μητέρας της. Δηλαδή, μου ακούγεται τόσο τρελό το θάρρος που είχαν και η δύναμη εσωτερική.
Γι' αυτό παντρεύτηκε με τη Ford.
Γι' αυτό παντρεύτηκε το θέμα με τη Ford. Η οποία έκανε το γύρο του κόσμου μόνη της με οχήματα Ford.
Πόσο καιρό πήρε?
Της πήρε 5 χρόνια. Το όνομα αυτής Aloha Wonderwell. Τόλμησε να κάνει κάτι εξωφρενικά τρελό για την εποχή. Τίποτα όμως δεν ήταν ικανό να την εμποδίσει να πραγματοποιήσει το όνειρό της και να κάνει το γύρο του κόσμου. Πάμε λοιπόν στο σήμερα. Ανυπομονώ να συναντήσω την Lexie Alford.
Aloha λοιπόν και έφυγες για τη λέξη.
Πες μου μια λέξη. Lexie Alford, η οποία αποφάσισε να κάνει το γύρο του κόσμου με το ηλεκτρικό Ford Explorer. Lexie, I just realized that your last name has the word Ford.
Yeah, right? It's a funny coincidence, right?
Have you ever noticed that?
I have. I did think that was a fun coincidence. It's also great because I actually learned how to drive on a Ford. My dad's old beat up F350 long bed when I was like 15 years old, so it feels very full circle being here today. My current journey was inspired by Aloha Wonderwell. Almost exactly 100 years ago, I was the first person to circumnavigate the globe in a vehicle. So it feels very special that she actually took off on that adventure in the Ford Model T, and now flash forward 100 years, I'm taking the Ford Explorer around the world. Our hope is to be the first to circumnavigate the globe in an electric vehicle.
Η Lexie ξεκίνησε από το ίδιο σημείο ακριβώς που είχε ξεκινήσει και η Aloha. Με αυτόν τον τρόπο ήθελε να την τιμήσει και να δείξει ότι ήταν απόλυτη πηγή έμπνευσης για την ίδια. Συγκεκριμένα από τη Νίκαια της Γαλλίας, από το ξενοδοχείο Le Royal.
A few weeks ago, our journey started in Nice, France, and now we've made it all the way here to Athens, which is so special because this actually marks the halfway point on the European leg of our journey around the world. And from here, I'm heading off to Turkey.
How easy is to organize your trip, to find the chargers, because I guess that every country has different charging stations.
Thankfully, this journey is starting in Europe, which basically has the best charging infrastructure in the world up until this point. But there has been a lot of time and research and planning going into all of the logistics for the other legs of our journey. This is something that's never been done before.
Να υποθέσω ότι με αυτό το τεράστιο εγχείρημα η Ford θέλει να δείξει ότι η πορεία προς την ηλεκτροκίνηση γίνεται πιο προσιτή.
This journey can show that if I can make it around the world in an EV, then you can drive one in Europe every day. I've been loving the car so far. We're still getting to know each other. This car is basically going to be my home for the next coming months. It's definitely gotten me where I need to go so far, and I'm excited to hop in with you and show you the ropes.
I'm in the Ford Explorer that will do the world tour. The feeling, it's amazing. Thank you so much for this experience.
Of course, I'm happy to bring you in with me. Welcome to my home.
Did you chose Ford or Ford chose you?
It feels like a bit of both since I grew up driving a Ford. I also was chosen by Ford actually because I also share a world record for the youngest person to travel to every country in the world.
Αναρωτιέμαι τον προγραμματισμό, πότε ξεκουράζεται.
Every day is different. We kind of plan according to my range. The range can change depending on the terrain. We haven't really driven too much more than maybe six hours a day, something like that, but I'm sure there's going to be some longer driving days ahead. It is very safe and we very much paying attention to, when I get tired or anything like that, but after, a certain amount of time, I'm gonna need to recharge. So it's almost like I have some built-in rest stops. It's almost fun because it means that I'm stopping and charging in places that I may have otherwise just driven right through. I stopped at this very random charging station in Serbia and ended up meeting this group of old women at the rest stop and we were dancing together.
Really?
And it was so sweet.
Where did you find the best roads and the best drivers?
Driving in Italy was crazy. Definitely had some crazy driving there. The coastline we actually took from Thessaloniki to Athens was my favorite stretch of the drive so far since it's so scenic with all of the different mountains. The coastline was so beautiful. I would say though, potentially the most stressful driving of my entire life was under the Acropolis.
Okay.
With all of the tourists and because it's an EV they don't hear me coming. Driving around the tiny roads was so stressful.
It ended up well. So.
It did. No problems. Hectic driving, but of course the drivers themselves were good. Like Serbia and Bulgaria so far, especially since the landscape is really spread out. So there really wasn't a lot of traffic or congestion. I think maybe that's been the best so far.
Αυτά τα δύσκολα εγχειρήματα θέλουν σίγουρα και στήριξη από την οικογένεια. Τι ρώτησες τίποτε σχετικό, δηλαδή αν θα συναντήσει κάποιον, αν είναι κανείς μέλος του πληρώματος που την ακολουθεί και τη σαπορτάρει?
I wonder, when you have a tough moment, do you prefer to take strength from inside and be for a while alone, or do you feel the need to call your family?
I think this is something that we could actually relate to on, since I know that you have gone so far out of your comfort zone doing the ultramarathon running. I think that there's a few different strategies. One is, especially in this scenario with driving around the world, it takes a certain level of maintaining calm, even in stressful situations. Having good breathing techniques is essential, as well as kind of the perspective of what lies on the other side of challenging yourself and how rewarding that can be. Another is gratitude. So whenever I'm in situations that are difficult, especially being on the road for so long, you miss your family, your routine, it's important to maintain that sense of gratitude for the opportunity to be healthy, to get to see the world, and that always kind of brings a fresher perspective. Well, I would definitely love to see my family, but unfortunately, with the nature of what we're doing, it's such an unpredictable schedule. It's difficult to know exactly where I'm going to be in 3 days from now, let alone 3 months from now.
So I guess from this answer that in the support team, you don't have any family member.
No family members in the support team. A great team though, we're already bonding because they're basically my new family for all intensive purposes. And I also have my videographer and editor who I make all my content with, so it's great to have someone from my team as well.
Τι χρονικά περιθώρια μπορεί να υπάρχουν, δηλαδή αρχή και τέλος πότε?
I also read that you have to complete the journey in less than 100 days.
Thankfully, when it comes to breaking this world record, because it's actually not breaking, it's setting a new one, since this is something that's never been attempted before, there isn't actually a time limit. Also, there's very little research and study done on what it's actually going to look like, especially when we get into more remote parts of the world. There's a lot of flexibility when it comes to the timeline. Ultimately, if it does take longer than we were anticipated, I'm actually glad I love slow travel. I don't want to rush through without really being able to get in touch with the culture and see more of the landscapes. In preparation for this journey, I took my advanced driver training, so I was able to go in and see everything from how they test the vehicles in different climates. I also visited the design center. I saw the entire process from how they draw the vehicles in sketches, then they turn them into clay, all the way to the production. Advanced driver's training was one day. So we did a bunch of different courses and did stuff in the classroom, as well as like learning how to drift and do emergency stops and maneuvers and everything, which was really cool.
Μα δεν είναι καταπληκτική εμπειρία. Δεν συζητώ μόνο για το γύρο του κόσμου. Το πόση εκπαίδευση πέρασε για να μπορέσει να ταπεξέλθει.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to jump in with me, and if you want to continue following along on where this adventure leads us next.
I would love to, and I will ask the TV host. Είναι, δεν ξέρω, νομίζω τόσο εντυπωσιακή εμπειρία που θα ήθελα πάρα πολύ να ήμουν στη θέση της, λέω εγώ τώρα.